So this is going to be a tutorial about Adobe Fresco, a new app for iPad. And the reason I want to show you is because it has vector brushes. And a customer emailed me recently about how to incorporate landscape elements into t-shirt designs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a new document, 4,000 by 4,000 pixels. And what I want to do is add an image from my camera roll. And this is essentially just a flattened image of some type on top of a mountain image that I found on Unsplash. So what we want to do is make a new layer, and then we select our vector brush. And with the vector brush, as soon as you start drawing in with the vector brush, this layer will become a vector layer. So if you see that I start drawing some lines, this little icon right here indicates that that's a vector layer. These other brushes are pixel-based brushes, but we're just going to draw in vector here. So the brushes I tend to like are the basic round and also the basic taper. The basic round brush works exactly how you'd want it to. It's pressure sensitive, so if you press harder, it's a thicker line, and then if you let up, it's thinner. And the other brush that I like is the basic taper. Now, they have a brush like this in the Adobe Draw app that I didn't like, but this one just tends to work a little bit better. And it tapers on both ends. And the reason I didn't like the one in the Adobe Draw app was because it would do this funny thing where the line gets really thick. But the more you play with this brush, the more you kind of get used to how it works. So it would be really good for drawing like the cracks in this mountain. The other thing I want to show you is if you go into settings and go into app settings and then go to experimental, this setting is by default off, but it's called hold for straight line. And if you turn that on, it acts pretty much like the Procreate feature where, you know, if you draw a line and then you hold, it'll snap, and then you can kind of position that line wherever you want. But it is a little bit different because let's say I do a line like this and then hold. It kind of like rounds out everything. So in Procreate, that just would have made a straight line. But this version is a little bit different, but it's pretty useful. I'll just go in here and start drawing. And I'm going to switch back and forth between the basic round brush and also the basic taper brush just for different effects. The other thing about Adobe Fresco is it just kind of works the way you want it to. And that's why I haven't really delved into some of these other iPad vector apps, because whenever I use them, it's just not quite right. But this one's pretty good. So this design is essentially done. If I turn off the visibility of the type and the photo image, you'll kind of see what we have. Now, this is all vector, remember, and what I want to do now is I want to bring this into Illustrator on my desktop so we can reincorporate that type. There's also one little area here that, you know, sometimes your hand ends up drawing, and it only did it once, so this app is pretty good. What we want to do here is we want to click this to export, and then, oh, there's also a time-lapse export, which is what I used to show you how I drew this. But we want to export as a PDF, and I can just save that to my desktop. And we can open that PDF in Illustrator. So now I've got this mountain image open in Illustrator, and you'll notice in the layers panel over here, it did not import the photo, and that's okay because we don't need it. And if I click on this, it's got kind of a bounding box kind of holding everything together. But if I double click to go in there, you'll see that it put every single little stroke as a separate element. So we could get rid of that little extra dot that I had there. The other thing that I want to do is let's go Window Pathfinder, and because there's so many extra points in here, let's just go in here and click merge. And at least that gets rid of some of those overlapping paths. Now the other thing I want to do is let's double click on it, select some of the black, and then select same fill color, select inverse, and delete that. Now that's just one big solid black path. And we'll go into the original file here, and I'll just take the type out of there. Go Command C, and then go back in here and paste it in, and just kind of position everything accordingly. Now, the other thing we could have done, which would make this even better, is redraw the type, but you know where I'm going with this. So anyway, that is the tutorial on how to use the vector brushes in Adobe Fresco.